following episode is dedicated to the life and legacy of our ancestor Nipsey Hussle. May his spirit live on and continue to inspire future youths. Ashe.
Spiritual music does something to you. Music does something to you. Our frequencies play on the human body. We water-based creatures. You know, they say you can talk to a glass of water and you can tell the water how to treat you.
Be anywhere, but when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am.
We are in a covert, psychological, spiritual war right now. Any black man calling another black man an op is a damn fool.
One of the lies that we tell ourselves is that we are making progress. We tend to equate progress with concessions. We can no longer make that mistake. See, it's no in between. You're either free or you're a slave. There's no such thing as second-class citizenship. But a lot of you running around talking about you Democrats, and the Democrats got you in the biggest trick going. When black people become serious about the revolutionary struggle that they are caught up in, whether they recognize it or not, when they begin to go down and knock off people who are oppressing them, that's when the revolutionary struggle unfolds. Not until.
Welcome to the Power to the Panthers podcast. We're here to educate the youth and the older people too. We're here to regulate the truth, and we're here to demonstrate the proof. And family, today I have a very special guest with me. I go back with my brother over a decade now. He brought me and my father out to Newburgh to the Harley Davidson Museum back a little over a decade ago, I would say. And, you know, ever since then, my brother has been elite with the lyricism. He's been elite with the architectural work. We literally just came back from a trip that he came on. We went to Kemet. We was learning about all of the ancestral lineage that we have there. So family, today is going to be an action-packed episode. My brother is going to break down everything from his TRUSIC music down to what we're working on actually with the Rap Panther Party, down to the architectural work, the things that he is building, the things that he is working on, family. This right here is definitely one you don't want to miss. So family, brother Ses Vth, let the family know a little bit about yourself.
Yo, peace to the gods, peace to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
Peace,
you allow me. Appreciate you allowing me to join your platform and just build in front of the people. You know, we do a lot of great builds just on the phone or in person, but it's good to be in front of people. Peace to the world out there. I hope everybody's doing well when this reaches you, when these words reach you. So yeah, like the brother said, my name is Ses Vth. I'm originally from Newburgh, New York. Shout outs to upstate New York. I'm an artist, revolutionary artist, I should say that, hip hop artist. Very passionate about the craft of hip hop, very passionate about making every lyric and every bar be meaningful, whether it be uplifting for our people or shining light on some of the atrocities and even the victories of our past, or scorching these damn demons and devils, you know what I mean? And so I do a good mixture of all of that in my music. Like the brother said, I represent, you see that on the hat, shirt too, TRUSIC music. TRUSIC is an acronym for, you know, first of all, it's a play on true music, but it's also an acronym for truth, righteousness, unique, successful, inspiring, and creative. So these are all values that I incorporate in my music, and everybody that I work with, we hold these values as near and dear to us. Like if I was to tell you you weren't true, righteous, unique, successful, inspiring, and creative, you would feel away. You know what I mean? So it tells you that these values are something that's important. And as an artist, I feel like now more than ever, we definitely need to have those type of values, you know, injected into the music and the consciousness of our people. Outside of music, I'm also an architect. So I own my own business, Simmons Design and Development. We take on commercial, residential real estate development. I do everything from floor plan designs, 3-dimensional renderings, project management, anything you need if you have any architectural goals. And especially, you know, this is very important for us as we grow and develop and we look at creating communes and potential communities and cities. We're going to need to have the skills and experience to know how to navigate these, specific municipalities as far as their building permits, applications and just looking at it from a master plan, like, you know, civil engineering. Where are you getting all your utilities at? Are you bringing, where's your water supply at? Where are you going to tap that in? Do you know how to manage that? Do you know how to organize that as best as possible to create a community? So the architecture side is, you know, something that pays the bills, and I'm very passionate and gracious for being able to pursue this dream of architecture and what it could potentially lead to and what it has done. So I'm not a starving artist. You know what I mean? I get money using my mind, and then when I pour into my art, I don't have to abide by any of these social norms, any record label standards. Nah, it's just coming straight, pure from the heart, from the essence, from the ancestors, out my mouth. But yeah, and besides that, I'm a husband, you know, to a beautiful wife, the style Ma'ashin, and I'm a father to two beautiful daughters, Seiko and Sirius. And that's you know, that's the most important right there. That's the most important thing I do, is a family man. So yeah, that's me, God.
Everything that, you know, that falls into the umbrella of what men should do is exactly what you're curating in your profession, and then as it relates to the music. So everything is just intertwining with one another. And because this is everything you just said is exactly what people like Huey Newton and Bobby Seale, that's what they were talking about when they were talking about, you know, getting the brothers in the community together as it relates to becoming that force that nobody can reckon with. What do the Black Panthers represent to you?
Man, the Black Panthers, man. Salute to the Black Panthers, man. Salute to the elders that are still present, and to the ones that are transitioned on, that are now ancestors, man. What they represent for me is cultural pride, the ability, like you said, masculinity, femininity as well, because we can't forget the sisters played a big part in the movement, and the movement wouldn't be the movement without the sisters doing a lot of the groundwork. They represent organization and order. You know, these brothers, I'm sure, like we go through, right? A lot of brothers have their differences, but a lot of them was able to drop that and say, hey, we may not agree on everything, but we can agree on this, that we do have a common enemy, that our community needs protection, and that our disorganization creates the conditions for people like the police to prey upon us and to intimidate us and to beat us with no recourse. You know what I mean? Our disunity and disorganization creates another level of poverty, even greater than the poverty that they intended to set us in. So what I mean by that is, by us being unified, by the Panthers being unified, they were able to raise funds and money to create free breakfast programs, to create neighborhood patrols. You know, they had the system set up for these things to even live and benefit our community. So the Panthers, you know, you got the cultural aspect of making Black beautiful and proud, and making it strong at a time where some of our leaders, they came from the civil rights era. A lot of them watched what happened to our civil rights ancestors who were shot and killed off, the Malcolm X's, the Dr. Kings, Medgar Evers, and the list goes on. So they were the teenagers that was watching this. And I love that the result of that wasn't, ooh, we got to cower down and watch out. It was, nah, hell nah. Now more than ever, we need to arm up, get our guns, patrol our community, and have some spine, have some Jed pillars, some backbone to yourself, and stand up and love your community. And by loving them, that means protecting, that means feeding them, that means educating them. All of that comes with it. So these brothers and sisters, that organization and what they put together, still has lasting effects, and it affected all of us. It has a great effect on hip hop. the revolutionary mind state of black men with Huey, Bobby Seale, H. Rap Brown, all the, all of them, everybody. I could name them for days, but they all were not only revolutionary as far as in the defense of protecting our community, but they were revolutionary in their ways of learning and organizing. These brothers were intelligent, so if they got on they were getting interviewed by any of these mass media networks, they weren't up there cooning. Like, a lot of times when they put the camera on a black person in the neighborhood, it sounds like, yo, damn, of all black people, you chose him to speak on behalf of us? Nah, these brothers, when they got in front of the mic, they spoke with intellect, they spoke with facts and matter-of-factness on issues, and research and study and work citation to really beat them at their own game. So it made it easy for us to understand it, and for the people who maybe didn't understand them and the news and media tried to typecast them a certain way, when you put that mic in front of them, it was very clear as to the reason why they were armed up, the reason why they moved and did the things that they did. They were able to articulate that in such a way that made it understandable and respected. So, yeah. Big impact. And I love the colors. I love the froze. I love the fists. You know what I mean? I love all of the swag that came with it too. You know what I mean? We can't forget about that. That's the culture, right? Like, we all wear black. Even my colors right now. You see, this is all like paying homage. The TRUSIC logo with the world on the top and the cities on the bottom, from the cities expanding out to the world. That all, power to the people, making us realize that we did have power within ourselves. And the only way we was gonna get that power was to realize that we had it won, and then assume that position of power. And you do that by organizing. And that's what they did. And they were amazing at it. And that mind state, that level of love and fearlessness is something to be cherished, studied, and practiced.
Facts. That's undeniable right there. And I think that a lot of the things that we see when we're looking at entertainment and we're looking at education, how people kind of put it together in like edutainment. So like from the perspectives, like as it relates to what you're doing with the TRUSIC music, and then now we're pushing the initiative for the Rap Panther Party. How can an initiative of revolutionary hip hop music change the trajectory of Black music?
Man, when you talk about revolutionary, right, and what revolution actually means, right, to revolt, right, to rebel against, right, means to stand up for yourself, right, and we all see and have heard about the unfair practices of the music industry in particular. I'm gonna go a couple different directions, but I'm gonna start with the music industry. We know that there are people out there that want to see the worst of us get put out as a representation of all of us. There are people out there who are financially invested in us creating destructive art and content that circles back around and now becomes the mind state of the generations that come after. You know what I mean? So there are people who understand that if I can put millions of dollars into this person that is a modern day coon, a street coon, and build them up and give them clout, right, and allow them to spew this ignorance, it's going to have negative ramifications for generations to come. Think about songs and how we listen to songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s. That sticks around. So them investing that heavy into our community, they know that that's going to stick in the mind states of our kids for generations to come. And on top of that, some of these destructive ideas and messages that are being infiltrated and pushed in through the music create the dysfunction to where you don't even see your brother as a brother. You see him as an op, right? Any black man calling another black man an op is a damn fool. You don't really know who the real ops are, because even if y'all beefing for some reason or issue within your community, I guarantee the conditions that your real ops put you in is the reason why you even beefing with each other. Because if y'all all had access to resources, you wouldn't even be fighting over this. Or at least everybody fights, right? But you wouldn't be taking it to where I don't love myself so much that I don't love you even more, and I'm quick to pull out a gun and just take you off the earth without even realizing. But they realize that if they push that mentality out, them prison beds is going to be filled up, you know? So the same people that, and you know, we probably seen memes, and this is an actual fact. These same record labels back in the 90s, when they wanted to push gangster rap, they also got in cahoots with the people who run these private owned prison systems and said, hey, let's push this gangster rap because it's going to create more dysfunction, and it's going to not only justify us raining down hellfire in the form of stop and frisk and all of this police brutality, but it's going to create the conditions to where we're all going to get paid not only off the artists, because the artists don't own anything, right, but off the prisoners that we're eventually going to get because they let that song seep into their subconscious. And when you hear kill a nigga, kill a nigga, kill a nigga, it's only a matter of time, right? You're not going to just go out and kill somebody off the song. But what it does do is it plants a seed in your subconscious so that the minute you do get into a disagreement, conflict resolution is now out the window, because you didn't listen to how to be a man and how to squash beef. Nah, all you heard was kill a nigga. So the minute any conflict comes in your life, that's how you're going to react. And so it sows the seed of dysfunction. So you got that aspect of the record label pushing that through the various artists and making them their slaves, right? Because they don't even own, they publishing and master. So you got that aspect. And then on the flip side of that is what happens when you do have artists that do have messages behind them. Let's think about the Bob Marleys, right? Let's think about the Marvin Gayes, right? Let's think about even a recent, we can go to Kendrick, you know what I mean? And what he just did with the They Not Like Us and all of that, and how he brought a whole coast together, even though it was on behalf of shitting on Drake. And, you know, that's a whole other conversation. We're going to go that way. But the power of hip hop, Public Enemy, these messages that are going to be played over and over and over again has the power to uplift us. And originally it had the power to pass along information that was much needed. Me coming up, and I know we're going to probably get into this a little later, you know, I didn't have my father in my life. He wasn't around, right? He was in the streets. He was into drugs and other things, right? But some of the key manhood and value systems that I have adapted into my life as a grown-ass man came from some of the wisest artists, the Nas's, the AZs, the folks that, the Rakims, that put those tidbits of wisdom and information and motivation into my mind that I adapted to. I played over and over again, and it gave me the force to move and do some of the things that I'm doing today. So, you know, we can't deny, like your pops say this all the time, culture is to humans as water is to a fish, meaning you can't survive without culture. So if your culture is toxic and not revolutionary, then you're going to get toxicity and coon behavior. But if your culture is revolutionary and it's informative and intellectual and it makes you think in double, triple entendres, we just came from Kemet where they spoke in parables. They spoke in double, triple entendre symbols and symboliques. This is the highest level of activating different parts of your brain. And that's the power of hip hop. That's the power that I choose to invoke and consume when it comes to hip hop. And so hip hop is super revolutionary, and it can not only change the trajectory of us as artists within the industry of, you know, I'm very revolutionary because I really don't like the DSPs, the streaming services and all that. They're giving people fractions of a penny for a song play. Everything that we do is independent, but I think that's a path forward, especially with some of these social media platforms and the ability to reach all of these people. Now, granted, there's the algorithmic apartheid and digital racism that we got to go through and all of that too, but you can still connect with people through your art and through music and be able to actually gain some sort of financial benefits from that. When you are revolutionary and you don't just try to do everything you can to get signed by a label. There's another route, there's other paths. We see Immortal Technique do it, and some of the stuff that he's done in the community, even somebody like Tech Nine, what he's done financially being an indie artist, so there's pathways and there's ways. Yes, it's the scenic route. You're not taking a shortcut, but there's ways to do it. And I think that is a way that we can do that to take back control over the narratives of what we want to see and hear in hip hop. So I know that's a long answer, but yeah. For Black people listening to that is where the benefit. That's how it takes us up. Spiritual music does something to you. Music does something to you. When that beat is on, it's moving. It's literally letting off frequencies that affect different chakras. And then when that spoken word, that throat chakra is invoked, it depends on what's coming out. Is that throat chakra invoked to bring the lower chakras and that root chakra energy? Because hey, that's okay if we beefing and we banging on them. You know what I mean? We saying reparations. Yeah, we need that. Yeah, that shit came from the throat, out the throat chakra, from the root chakra. God damn it. You know what I mean? But it also had a certain level of intellect from that third eye and from that crown chakra and that heart chakra to bring that energy, that righteous energy behind it. So with those frequencies, we don't even really, I'm sure in 10, 15 years from now, we just now learning the power of cymatics and how frequencies play on the human body. We water-based creatures. They say you can talk to a glass of water and you can tell the water how to treat you. So if we think that music is not having multi-dimensional effects on our body, we crazy. But as much as it can affect us in a negative way, if it's the right stuff, it's medicine, and it's the medicine we need, and it's the quickest way to pass information. A kid can learn lyrics. You know what I mean? So if done right, we can use this as a way to get the information and narratives that we want out. So that's what I'm gonna end it there.
Perfect. That's the Bible, my brother. Because even just what you were talking about as it relates to how we treat each other, like crabs in a basket, that concept, how, because we are in an unnatural environment, all of the things that we have to do are conditions that we face. The things just on a basic level, like just having to wake up and figure out, am I going to be so black that that the cop going to pull me over? Like, white people don't have to worry about, am I going to be too white today? Or is the color of my skin, or even just historically, like, just looking at it from the perspective that if we're put back into the natural environment that we were, and then we're able to cultivate who we are as a people, then and the reason why we beefing and bickering back and forth so much is because we're not comfortable. We all in the same predicament, thinking that fighting amongst each other is going to be the answer, while the people, like you're saying, that are really putting us in those conditions, we dare go face to face with them. Not everybody, but I'm saying a large majority. When you can, when in 2020, the Biden and Harris administration pushed that pandemic, pushed the shot, pushed the vaccine on people, told people you lose your job if you don't take this shot. And then they want to sit up and talk about women's rights. It wasn't women's rights, my body, my choice.
Yeah, what happens to me? Yeah, right, exactly.
You're going to lose your job if you don't get a shot. And then force 75% of the nation to fall in line with that concept. Those are the uncomfortable, the unnatural environment that they put us in that's made us cutthroat. So when we listen to a lot of these rap lyrics, it's because of the conditions that we face. And as we know, they capitalize off of us talking about our despair and the things that we go through, starting when they was having conferences in LA in the 90s with rap groups like NWA and all of those things. They knew that rap groups like Public Enemy and KRS-One, and all the other people that at that time, at that moment, were talking about something, you know, righteous, revolutionary. They knew that they had to figure out a way to stop that. And then in our generation, we really only had a few artists, and damn near mainstream I'm talking about. But now mainstream, we have nothing. There's nothing. So that's why we got to bring back TRUSIC music. That's why we got to push the Rap Panther Party to be the music for the streets. Like people looked at Young Jeezy and Gucci Mane and trap artists and rapping about selling drugs. People looked at that as the poster child for street music. But what we need to do is make street music real music, that consciousness, that uplifting, you know, your people music, that not denigrating Black women. Like the stuff we seen when we was growing up, listening to artists like Lil' Kim and even as, you know, Nicki Minaj. The stuff we're hearing now today, we wouldn't even have fathomed we would be seeing artists come out with lip gloss named after STDs. We wouldn't think
Brown.
Yeah, like it's just like everything just got more blatant, more just like there's no metaphor. Like hip hop was about metaphors. It's about making me have to think. Maybe I gotta listen to that track again to figure out what he's saying. Now it's just blatant vulgarness. Like at least the vulgarness before was like, hey, you know, there was some type of like quirkiness to, you know, the line that the artist said.
Or there was a bar at the end. There was some sort of entendre at the end of why I'm saying this. I'm gonna shoot you. I'm not gonna say I'm shooting your head. I'm gonna say I blow the moon off your solar system or something like. You feel me? Like that. Just said it in an eloquent way. Even R&B. Come on, man. Like look at the R&B songs. That used to be about love, and it went. Now it's just like these hoes ain't loyal. How many bitches can I fuck? Like it's just everything is just I'm sorry, I cut you.
Nah, but no. In addition to what you're saying, like R&B, when we was listening to R&B artists, like when you look at Usher, he curses once in a blue. You ain't never heard Usher on a record, you know, call a woman out her name like bitch this, bitch that. But the thing about when you look at it, I ain't trying to attack Chris Brown, but Chris Brown has really ushered in that degenerate R&B culture where the disrespect, the want to be a gangbanger, all of the negative attributes that rap music has been perpetualized to happen. Chris Brown has picked up and brought it into the R&B realm, and that's bad. And all of the other things that you know come with that lifestyle, the you know, the illicit drugs and all of those things, like they artists, Black artists, even when music was music and the Black artists were, you know, back in the 60s, 70s, they a lot of times were getting paid in drugs and getting paid in things. So that's another reason why a lot of these artists didn't have a generational wealth to leave down, because they were being paid in things that you couldn't leave down in generational wealth.
Right, absolutely.
You can't be compensated.
It goes deeper than the 70s, even back in the 20s with those jazz artists and all that too. Like,
and that's why they legalized that. That's why they made marijuana illegal, because the jazz artists of the 20s were smoking weed and they were creating this, you know, wonderful music, and then they had to figure out a way to stop it, because that is the reason why they banned marijuana. It ain't got nothing to do with that dumb movie, that Reefer Madness and all that other dumb stuff. Because first of all, I believe that movie represented them lacing that stuff with the other stuff. They the ones that put cocaine in Coca-Cola. You know, they're the ones that started mixing drugs. They were the ones selling opium in the back of the Macy's magazines. You know, so it's like,
and there's research too to show that the hemp farmers were starting to, and then this is a double-edged sword, but the hemp farmers were doing better than the cotton farmers, and a lot of clothes and a lot of materials used to be made from hemp, and so a lot of these cotton field farmers, who are also descendants of slave masters, came together and said, you know what, we need to use and it's the same, it happens nowadays too, our corporate power to influence a politician, to basically hire a politician to push this legislation to basically and effectively ban marijuana, and in turn ban the use and the dependence on hemp. So they made more money. It never fails, man. If you trace, and that's their problem, man. And that's where we gotta change our ideology, because we worship money too much, man. Like, how much money is enough money? Everybody want to live just on a super yacht and travel the world and everything. Like, is that really necessary? Like, do we really need that? And is that worth you looking around and your collective still failing? You feel me? Like, I'll take 100 broke middle class people over 3 or 4 rich people that don't want to do anything meaningful with their money. We can get more all putting up $50 over a couple weeks and have community being built and have something that of real power versus 1 or 2 off here and there that could fund all of this right away, but they mentally not even able to follow through, man. So yeah, our dependence on money, and basically it's their system, right? Cash. Most of the cash that exists around the world is like, I think out of all the currency, cash and physical money is like a super small percent. Like, I want to say anywhere from 5 to 15%. The rest of it is all computerized. So who runs the computers? Let's look at the Federal Reserve and all these other people. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but all of that ties into systems that we don't own. You feel me? And quite frankly, none of that means anything. And none of that is more powerful than us actually linking up, being able to live with each other and build with each other, build a real community. We came back from Kemet. We seen the level of organization and community it took to build some of these 1,000-year structures. You know what I mean? So we need to get back to that, man, by any means.
Everything that we laid out as it relates to you being an architect, you being a musician, and all of that. And I know that you had referenced that we, kind of go back to talking about just how you, Ses Vth, how you got to where you're at right now in 2024. So if you can explain for the people, how did your upbringing shape you becoming a musician and an architect? And just another part to that question, when you were young, was being a musician and an architect your goals?
So, growing up in Newburgh, New York, Newburgh was for a while, man, at least the years I was growing up in Newburgh, it was like the murder capital of New York State. It's a small city, but per capita, violent crimes and the murder rate was crazy. And most rappers, right, they would take that and they would lean on that to say, look, this is the cred I got, right? But to me, those was my cousins. Those were family members, people I knew in the community, old heads that used to teach me how to play ball. Now you hear about him getting shot up, killed. So being in that environment, when I was young, right, of course, hip hop music played a big part just grown up in the environment, growing up in the hood. You're going to hear music bumping out of cars. You're going to hear it at cookouts and block parties and neighborhood functions. So I think every little kid, I say this all the time, all black people can rap, all black people can sing, all black people can dance. It's just in you. You feel me? Like, you can do that. If we put enough time, we have that melanin that vibrates to that frequency of whatever rhythm is being, and we can find a way to say something to it or dance to it, or, you know what I mean? That's just in us, So I think on the musician side, all kids kind of want to be an artist, right? It looks cool. That person's getting all the girls, you know what I mean? He looks like he's wealthy, driving nice cars. He looks cool, you feel me? So I think when I was young, I've really appreciated the glitz and glam of the music more than even the knowledge aspect of it. It wasn't until I got a little older and I started running into artists of substance like the Nas's, the AZs, the Wu-Tangs, the KRS's, the Rakims. Like, when I was getting more exposed to that music, that's what made me say, oh, snap, damn, they actually are saying things that not only are they describing the world that I'm in, but they also telling me how to navigate this world. And I'm like, okay. And I had older cousins that used to spit and write. Shout outs to my cousin Pooh Grams. You know what I mean? I remember he was like, yo, let's write a rhyme. I'm gonna teach you how to write a rhyme. So he helped me write my first rhyme. Yo, I'm the under wonder, 9 years old from the slumber. And if you diss me, death becomes you. Like, I'll never forget that. You feel me? So that was like 9 years old. when I kind of got into music to where I was inclined and I knew that I could put a pen to pad. But it wasn't anything that I took serious until I got into my late teenage years. And I actually was around some people because, you know, back then, it wasn't like now where everybody got a goddamn microphone and the camera. Back then, you had to know someone who put in a time to have an MPC machine, to have a mic and an interface, and then know how to work it and a computer and all that. So it wasn't until I got older and I linked up with some brothers that actually knew how to actually produce a song. I was like, all right, well then let me revisit this, because I always freestyled with friends. I always did that. That was just, music was a part of our culture growing up. So I always was a part of that. And then when I actually heard myself on a microphone for the first time, I rolled around, I spit it. Shout outs to my man Intel. I was like, wow, that's what I sound like. And it just kind of opened up a path and a doorway. And I'm not gonna lie, when I started out rapping, and I'm a little bit ashamed, but it's the truth. I was talking about the shit that I came up with. So it was hard. It was real hard. Like all the bars was real hard, you know, listening to the lots and all that. Like everything was, and not for nothing, you know, I'm from the streets too. So I actually been involved in a lot of real shit. You know what I mean? And so I was putting that into the music, and it wasn't until like maybe a year into it that I listened back and I was just like, you know what it was? It was my mother riding in the car with my mother. I was telling her, yeah, I made a couple songs, and I put it on, and I was like, ooh. And I was like, well, I'm gonna have to show you later, because I realized I couldn't even play that for my moms. Like here I'm saying I'm an artist, but the shit that I'm saying, my mom's looking at me like, this ain't the person that I know. You feel me? Now she know I've been involved in some shit, but she don't need to know all of that. And a lot of that, you fabricating bars that sound like the hardest, the realest, the wealthy and all that, you know? So that's when I realized, like, you know what? I got to make this. What am I about as a human being? And let me start putting that into bars. And so I started getting real creative, writing crazy songs. And that's what kind of led me on a path of like, okay, you can use music as a tool to not just say a cool bar, but to actually say an impactful bar. You know, I realized the friends when I listened to it, when I would say something that was impactful, they would be like, wow, you know, that was dope, bro. Like, yo, that was deep. That was real deep. You know what I mean? And so that kind of pushed me to go towards that level with the music. And then as I got deeper into knowledge of self and consciousness and film, shout outs to films like Hidden Colors, right? Shout outs to a couple mentors along the way that dropped some jewels as to, hey, do you know our people came from this? Do you know we did this and a little bit of that? And like, those little sprinkles meant a lot. That's why I always say, if you see a young kid, I don't care if you don't want to hear it. Drop a jewel on him. Say something positive to him, because you may be the only one that did it. And he may not act on it right away, but say he get locked up. When he in jail, and anybody that been locked up know this, when you in jail, you start thinking about all the things that people told you to have you not in that situation. So that wisdom comes back, and that could be the thing that sets you on the right trajectory when you get out of prison or when you get out of a messed up situation. You know what I mean? So drop them gems, and that's something that when I got into the knowledge of self and learned about our history, our ancestors more deeply, I said, oh, there's a lane for me to put this into the music. And then I started to look around. I realized, damn, my peers are not doing it. And even if they are, they're not doing it the way I'm doing it. So that's what led me towards the music. And shaped me as a musician. On the architecture side, you know how it is. Once again, got to go back to that hood, right? Living in, you know, houses. You know, shout outs to my mom. My mom was a 2.5 job working woman. So she always made sure we had a roof over our head, food on our table, clothes on our back. You know what I mean? And she held it down for a lot of our family. She was like the big sis that did a lot for a lot of family members. But needless to say, we was poor. You feel me? So we was on food stamps. We was on WIC. We was on all of that. You know what I mean? And grown up in those apartments, you know, landlords raising the rent. And we got to move again. We got to go to a different apartment now. That type of shit. I started to be like, yo, I can't wait to get older and have my own house. You feel me? And then right outside of Newburgh is real fucked up, because right out, like, you could drive 5-10 minutes down the road and you in an area called like Bombville or New Windsor or town of Newburgh, where it's mansions, literal mansions. Down the street, we ain't come from no, man. We came from, you know, sleep head to feet, all in one bed type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. To going down the street and these people living the life of luxury. And so, and I'll add to this, Newburgh, because it's a very old city, it has a lot of historic charm. So a lot of the Victorian style houses, you don't really see that everywhere. You know what I mean? And so when I would go into these neighborhoods, I would look and be like, wow, that was actually a really cool, uniquely shaped house. You know what I mean? Wow, I like the way that was laid out. I like the way the landscape was laid out. And so it opened my mind to say, okay, I have some sort of a connection to the structures that are around me. And then when I got in high school, a good teacher, he was like, yo, you should take this CAD class. I'm like, okay, I don't know what CAD is, anything. Oh, this is what architects use. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I kind of like, everybody wants to be an architect too, right? Like, I hear that a lot. Everybody want to be a rapper. Everybody want to be an architect. So I took the class, and like some of my peers, as they were designing on the page, they couldn't imagine what it would look like in a 3-dimensional space or in real life. But me, I could see a floor plan and be like, oh, that's the bathroom. Oh, this is how you get down the hall. And they would be looking at the same plan like, how are you seeing this? I'm like, I don't know. It just kind of came to me naturally, maybe ancestrally. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was my first experience into it. And then I ended up getting accepted into RPI, which is an architectural, like, very well known for architecture and engineering. I got accepted into that school. And then, you know, not for nothing, even when I graduated, I still didn't feel like an architect. My path towards real architecture is when I met another Black architect, and he put me under the wing and showed me how to, one, make money from it, and then show me how to actually do the business of architecture. Because a lot of people, when you graduate architecture schooling, you basically in an office, and they call it the CAD bitch. The OG architects is just handing you their little hand sketches, and you just sitting there at a computer clicking all day, doing what somebody else told you to do. So you never actually out in the field seeing things get built. You're not understanding what I'm drawing in the 2-dimensional. Is a contractor actually going to be able to build this thing that you're drawing? Yeah, you're doing these details because he told you to do that, but is this the best way to do this? You know what I mean? And so I started when I graduated, I was working in like project management, inspections. I was certified ICC structural steel inspector, reinforced concrete, structural masonry. So I got to be actually on the job site. They like, yo, who this Black dude coming in here and responsible for inspecting all the work we did? And I'm going down to New York City and all the high rises, testing their concrete, approving their steel structures, telling them where they messed up, they didn't follow what was drawn in the plans and all of that. And so I say all that was to say I took a scenic route in architecture to be out in the field. And then it wasn't until I linked up with a good brother, my bro Troy, who showed me the business of it. He's a Black architect in DC, and was like, yo, I'm gonna bring you on and have you help me with a couple of projects. I started learning the programs. I hopped in, and once I understood the business of it, that's when I became an architect, to where now anybody can come to me with an architectural related inquiry or question or project that they want to do. And I know how to take you from start to finish. I know the process of working with different municipalities and authority having jurisdictions to get building permits. I know how to work you through a schematic design, what you got in your head versus what you really want to see at the end versus your budget, and learning how to put that together to where I am now. So that's scenic route to explain it, but that's what got me into it. Just the neighborhood I'm in, the lack thereof, and being a super creative. I always will say that I am very creative at heart. Like I always been drawing or doing something when I was young. But you don't have to be that's a misconception too. I don't ever want to put out there that you have to be a great drawer to be an architect. You have to know how to draw architecturally, because there's some people that can freehand do all of that shit, but you don't know anything about actual construction. You know what I mean? That's more art, and architecture is more function. How you're going to use the space, how is it going to last forever, how is it going to deal with the elements around it. So yeah, those things, like I said, coming together, that lack thereof, that creativity I had, all kind of spurred me to fall towards a path of architecture. And then now just the last thing I'm gonna say, reading the book, Psychology of Achievement. The brother, I forgot who wrote that book, but he was breaking down how no man achieves anything great without setting a plan and having a set list of goals not only for the short term, but for the overall trajectory of your life. So if I ask you, right, we've been all given the gift of free will. What you gonna eat today? When we get off of this joint, what you gonna eat? You feel me? What you gonna drink? Everybody can answer, right? They can use their free will to come up with a response to what they're gonna do. But we got to use that gift of free will to decide, what are we here for, right? No voice is going to come down from the sky and say, hey, you're supposed to be this. Nobody's ever going to say that to you. So with that gift of free will and being able to make that decision and to choose, we got to choose. And first of all, sit down and think. There's a whole process he broke down of sitting down and thinking about what you want to do with yourself. When you die and you on your deathbed, or you laying in that casket and people speaking about you, what are they saying about you? What did you do? What did you bring forward? And so making that decision as to what you want to do, sometimes it requires you experimenting a little bit to find what it is you do, but finding something that you're passionate about that you can do to where it's not even a job no more. You could do day in and day out, and then writing out your goals as far as what you want to do, how much money you want to make, what type of family life you want to have, what type of health you want to have, writing that out and making an actual blueprint, a game plan as to, yo, this is where I want to take my life. Because once you do that, and I keep it in my wallet every day, you feel me? Once you do that, it's like the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is asking you every day, hey, what do you want to do today? Right now, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Like, we always have that gift of free will is basically the universe. You can look at it as the universe saying, hey, what do you want to do? I'm the genie. I'm looking to grant you wishes, but you're not telling me, oh, you want to eat that? Okay, you can eat that. Oh, you want to do this? You can go do this. You know what I mean? What are you doing with your life and your goal? And when you make that big decision, that long-term trajectory decision, you start seeing how everything lines up and the dominoes start falling and things start attracting to you. And I can honestly say that after I wrote that down, my goals, which involved music and architecture, it never was one or the other. I believe my plan includes both of these. I'm going to be successful at both of these things. You know what I mean? And choosing that and committing to that and then doing everything you can to start to achieve goals like that, you'll start seeing how it's attracted. Different opportunities and things come about in your life. You know what I mean? And so that's very important. It's for anybody else that's looking to become a musician or architect or anything out in the world. Make that decision on what you want to do with your life first. And if that includes whatever that is that you want, so be it. If it's travel, okay, cool. Put that down in your goals and then watch that shit unlock, bro.
That was the perfect way to kind of wrap everything up. But I will say this. If there's anything else you have to say, my brother, before we go, let the people know any tidbits you got, any motivational quotes you got, any other advice you got for the young people, the older people, young black men trying to figure out, how to go about life, especially with everything that we're seeing today, with all the politics that's going on. If there's anything else you would just like to let the family know, please do, my brother.
Yeah. Appreciate you giving me the floor, bro. We at war, man, and what you could choose to believe it or not, and it ain't the war where missiles is bombing you. There's a war like that going on, and we not there, thank God, right? Maybe that will wake some of us up, but we are in a covert psychological, spiritual war right now, right? And everybody in this world, right? They studied our history, they hid our history. They don't want us to tap into our ancestral lineage and intellect for a reason, right? They don't want us to tap into that spiritual Ogun energy for a reason, right? And so everything they do is a distraction to keep you away from those things, because once your pop said it so eloquently, he said it best, man. I love Kyle, I love your pops. But that slingshot, the further you go back, the more you learn. And knowledge itself is not only learning about you as a human being and your family and your lineage, but you as being one of the collective. The further you pull that thing back, the further you reach back and study, the more of a clear picture and the further you can project yourself into the future. So knowledge itself is huge, because Carter G. Woodson broke it down the best with the miseducation of the Negro. We got all of these goddamn degrees, right? Why are we still so fractured? You know what I mean? You got all of this knowledge and supposed skill. Why don't we have a community that's specifically ours and that we run and maintain and is equitable, creating jobs? All of these things, right? All of that has to do and tie into us learning our history, learning ourselves, loving ourselves. When I learned how Marcus Garvey died and how they did him and how they, extradited him from the U.S. He went to Jamaica, didn't get much love back in Jamaica. He ended up dying in Europe, reading a newspaper that, hey, Marcus Garvey died, and he didn't even die yet. And he had another heart attack while he was already on a bed from a previous stroke. Or you know what I mean? So the point I'm making is learning that. I teared up on that when I read that, and when I was watching a documentary on that. That shit hurt me, but it inspired me. It said, yo, I got to carry on what he was doing. I got to pick that up. I got to pick up that torch. The ops that my grandma had, my grandma used to tell me, you got to watch these people because they'll smile in your face and they'll do things behind your back. We got to pick up the energy that our ancestors left for us. The knowledge, the stories, the wisdom, the ops, the strategy, the warfare. We got to carry that on because their kids are carrying it on. And their system was set up so that even if the kid don't willingly want to carry it on, he is just by contributing and operating in a system where he has a privilege over another man, and it's not true equality for all of us. So until that day where there's a true justice and equality for all human beings, right? And not just black people, but all human beings, right? Because the black issues are a human being issue. Until that day, we got to realize who the ops are that are trying to keep us from that reality. And then on the flip side, because we're not one-dimensional people, we got to link up with the greatest of us, you know what I mean? The ones who are unplugged, right? And start developing what the new paradigm is going to be. You feel me? Because until that plan is written and then communicated, we can keep saying we want to come together. But if there's no plan of how we're going to come together and why we're coming together, what the benefits are and how to, it doesn't mean anything. So it's going to take the strongest, the wisest of us and our generation and the elders to come together, put our brains together, our heads together, and create some sort of real agenda that all of us can get behind. We talked a little bit, we ain't go heavy on politics, but, we talked a little bit before we got on about Kamala and Trump and all them and how, she's saying like, they basically, that whole conversation about whether she's black or not, and she talked all of this black shit, but she hasn't admitted that she's black, nor has she come up with any agenda that's specific for black people. And that tells us, once again, politics was always meant who's going to be the ruling class over us. And so if we don't want that, we got to look at what they're doing. They're trying to keep us distracted. They're trying to keep us fractured. So everything that they're doing, we should do the opposite of. If you're trying to distract me, I have to lock in and focus more. If you're trying to fracture me from my brother and my sister through the gender wars and through the black on black supposed conflict, we have to come together. We got to love on our queens. We got to love on our kids. If they trying to take the father out the house, we need the father back in the house. Everything they doing, we just need to see it first and foremost. And I hate when people say, oh, we know everything. No, we don't know everything. And it's always important for us to talk about what's going on. If you have a battered woman, you don't tell her to not express the batter that's happening to her, because her expressing that is her on the path to getting the help that she needs. But if she stays silent, nobody ever going to know that she's suffering in silence, and they're going to keep asking her about them black eyes and AKA police brutality, AKA unfair practices in the justice system, AKA denial of loans. All these black eyes that we receiving, we got to talk about them shits, yell about them shits, and start to create the community to where we're in control of these things, where we can hire our own kids, where we have educated black people who understood what the society is and said, yo, I am going to be a loan officer. And guess what? I will show preferential treatment. And I'm going to do it by the books, but I'm pretty sure the Indian dude who's a loan officer, I can't approve the loan now, but let's go have dinner tonight. All right, these are the things you're going to need to do for me to approve it. This, that, and that. We need to be schooling each other. We need to be putting each other on and building our own community up to create these structures that our kids can come up through, so that we actually have that community that is together, that we can all grow from, build from, and live a better life, because of, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I would just say, work on yourself, learn as much as you can, get a skill in this life, because once you got a skill, you don't need nobody. Skills pay the bills. You know what I mean? You can start to do things a little bit with a little bit more autonomy and take control of your world. And we need your skill. We talked about this in Kemet. We need your skill to bring forth, because if all white people was to disappear off this earth, if all people who practice European colonial ideas disappeared off the earth, who's going to run the world now? Who's going to keep the satellites in the sky? Who's going to keep the cable, the internet, plow the roads, the municipal water, build the buildings, upkeep the buildings, fix the cars, everything that we need in the community? We all need to be adapting a skill so that we can bring that forth when the time is right. And the time is going to be right when brothers like you and I, the masters, link together and say, this is how we build it. This is our plan. Cube was doing it the best because he actually had a written plan that if you read, you could at least get behind. We need more of that. We need more charters. We need more written plans and ideas so that we can actually see what it is that we fighting for and is worth us, and the potential end game from whatever that plan is. So that's where it's at, bro.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
He said an hour, bro. Hold on, we can go too. No,
So for the people out there that wanna know more about your music, know more about your architectural work, link with you, things of that nature, what are some of the social media websites, things that people can go to?
Yeah, social media wise for the music, and Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I don't really use Facebook like that, but at Ses Vth, at SESVTH. That's where you can find my stuff. TRUSICworld.com, www.trusicworld.com. That's the home and platform where if you want to listen to exclusive new music from myself or any of my other comrades that are on the same level of true, righteous, unique, successful, inspiring, and creative music, live entertainment, and events, go to that website and check us out and support. Get a t-shirt. I got the TRUSIC tees released, the hats and all that coming. Got some more merch as these songs start to come out too.
Yes.
And then for the architecture side, I do have a architecture IG, but this is what I realized early in the game. Most people that's actually trying to build and develop is not looking for their goddamn architect online. So I haven't put much into that page. I say that as a disclaimer. I haven't put much into that, but you can check us out, www.simmons-dd.com. Simmons Design and Development. That's what the DD is for. www.simmons-dd.com. Simmons Design Development. All your architectural needs. If you just need an architectural feasibility study, hey, how much would this cost? And you need somebody to help you budget some things, or conceptual drawings, or if you know what you want to do, you need an addition on the back of your house. You having issues. You just bought a new retail space, and the city's telling you need a building permit to do the construction you need. Holla at your brother, and we'll take care of you. Feel me?
You heard it there, family. We're working on creating a blueprint for all the different avenues that us as Black people can utilize right now and work within the grassroots. So family, this has been another wonderful episode of Power to the Panthers podcast. Thank you, my brother Ses Vth. Always, we're going to keep building. We're going to keep moving. Peep family, you already know it's TRUSIC Music, Rap Panther Party.
Absolutely.
We here, and we're going to do it big. Huey, take us away.
The police throughout the community, not only the Oakland community, but throughout the Black communities in the country, were really the government. We had more contact with the police than we did the city council. The police were universally disliked. In Oakland, there was about, in 66, there was about, October 66, when the party was founded, there was about 1% black on the police department.
Thanks for watching. This episode of Power to the Panthers podcast has been brought to you by Panther Prince Productions.